Hi, John.
Hey, Ray. Oops.
You're reverberating.
Check that. See if it, yeah.
It's better.
Yeah. I've got a second computer up to show the our slide there.
What is the slide of?
It's,
What?
see the PG articulator slide with the, who's on. It's kind of a brief agenda.
Oh, okay. I don't see it, but okay. I haven't got it out full. Oh, okay. All right. That's nice.
Yeah, I saw another club doing that, so I stole it from them.
Hey, that's where the best ideas come from. Quite a few people are logged in.
Yep.
John, the agenda, is Tyler not speaking?
No, that's why I crossed my name off.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure about that.
Yep. I try and keep it up to date at all times. That's what's great about this virtual agenda is you can keep it constantly current.
Okay. Okay. Yes, 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 you are. Okay. Yes, you are.
Sorry. Playing with puppy.
Morning, everybody. It's 10 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome, everybody, for coming out or waking up this morning and coming to our meeting. If you hear jingling, that's my shirt, my sweater. It jingles. I'm kind of been out of it because I'm doing a lot of stuff with the education team and then with work and stuff. So the only announcement I really had was that we have speech contests coming up in February. And the two categories this year will be tall tales, which is a 3 to 5 minute tall tale that you make up, and then international speech, which is a 5 to 7 minute speech on a topic of your choice. So if you're interested in participating in the contest, either as a contestant or if you'd like to help support the contest as a judge, a bout counter, timer, or to help plan the contest, please let Tyler know and we'll get you squared away. So that being said, I'll hand it off to our Toastmaster of the day, Miss Ray.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Miss Ray, real quick. Sorry, I wanted to acknowledge some of our guests. I totally spaced on this. So we have Miss Daria from Barbados. And then we have, I'm sorry, I can't see. My vision is terrible. Elizabeth. How'd you find us, Elizabeth?
Through John, I've been looking for a Toastmasters group for a couple of years, and I'm Rotary, I'm president-elect, and I know there's something collaboration between the two. When I saw John on Facebook getting some awards, I reached out to him. And I said, I've been interested. So he invited me.
Great. Are you familiar with the format of our meetings?
Not at all,
okay.
no.
Okay.
My first time.
For your knowledge, our meetings generally consist of three main parts. So prepared speeches, those are speeches given by members to meet an educational goal. Table topics, which is impromptu speaking. The topics master will present a subject and speakers have a minute or two to speak on whatever that topic is. That's a good opportunity for guests to participate, no pressure. And then evaluations. Each of the prepared speeches has an evaluator assigned to give feedback on that speech. So that's the basic format. And Tyler, could you put a link to the agenda in the chat? That way Elizabeth can take a look as well as Daria.
I do have from John, he emailed me the agenda, so I do have that.
Oh, okay. Great. Okay. Well, welcome, Daria, Elizabeth. Thank you. Now I hand it off to our Toastmaster today, Miss Ray.
All right. Okay. As Toastmaster of the day, I start the meeting off. Welcome guests, which Earl had already done. And I don't think there's anything else that needs to be announced because all the contests and stuff will be happening in the spring, meaning February, probably. I'd like to introduce our first role of the day, which is Kittima, and she's Topics Master.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Today I will be the topic master, where I'm going to be introducing a Christmas-themed topic today for us to talk about. And it's our opportunity to do impromptu and improvisational types of speeches. If you're a guest, please participate, and members as well. Back to you, Ray. Thank you.
Thank you. Our general evaluator for the meeting is John. John, would you like to tell us what the general evaluator does?
Thank you, Madam Table Toastmaster of the day. As a general evaluator, I will give an overall view of how the meeting went, how we performed, and how we can do better. I have with that a team that will keep me, and I like to call them the tag team, the timer, counter, and grammarian. Our timer we will need to fill because Sean doesn't seem to be here. He's supposed to be the timer. Does anybody want to pick up that role? Donnell? Okay, thanks Donnell for doing that. So Donnell, if you would quickly introduce your role as the timer and what you'll be doing.
Okay, my role, as John stated, will be the timer. I'm just getting some folders ready here to show you. And there's going to be prepared speeches, and normally there's going to be like you have 5 to 7 minutes to do a prepared speech. So at the 5-minute mark, I will hold up this green folder. 6-minute mark, I will hold up this yellow piece of paper. And the 7-minute mark, I will hold up this red folder. And when you see the red folder, you have 30 seconds to wrap up. As far as evaluations, it'll go, you got 3 minutes. So this will be 1, 2, and then 3 minutes, and then you have 30 seconds to wrap up. Table topics, you get 2 minutes. This would be 1, 1:30, 2 minutes, and then you have 30 seconds to wrap up. Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Donnell. For the A, I'll have the eye counter and listen up. role filled by Ms. Vernell Curtis. Vernell, if you would describe your role.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters and guests. As Listen Up and Ah, my responsibility is to count all the filler words, the ums, the ahs, the so's, I knows. And then the fun part is listen up. Part of communication is listening. I will be writing down things and I'll ask you questions. Thank you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Vernell. And our grammarian for the day is going to be Jessica. Jessica, if you would describe your role as a grammarian.
Good morning, Mr. General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters and guests. As grammarian, it's my responsibility to pay close attention to all speakers, listening carefully to their language usage. I'll take note of any improper language, as well as any outstanding words, quotes, sayings, or thoughts. As grammarian, it's also my duty to introduce the word of the day. For today's meeting, the word of the day is prognosticate. Prognosticate means to forecast the future. An example of it in a sentence would be, palm readers claim to prognosticate major life events by reading the lines of your palm. Each speaker is encouraged to use the word of the day. I'll give the grammarian's report when called upon during the meeting and also report on the usage of the word of the day. Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Jessica. If you would please put that in. Oh, you already got it in the chat. I appreciate that. And then the fourth member of the tag team who doesn't have a letter to go along with is the vote counter. That'll be Earl, who's going to count the votes at the end to determine our best of for the meeting.
Did you want me to say something? Because you pretty much
Yes.
did everything I'm going to do. So after the evaluators have spoken, I will pop up a poll window in everyone's Zoom window where you can vote on the best speaker, best table topics, and best evaluator to help us acknowledge a job well done. Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Earl. So after our evaluators give the evaluations of our speakers, I will return and give an overall view of the meeting. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster today.
Thank you. We've gone over all our helpers. Daria, I don't have the title of your speech or the length of your speech. Are you still speaking?
Yes,
Okay.
I sent everything to you. The title is Leadership Styles.
Okay.
And the evaluation should be in your inbox.
In my inbox. Okay. Oh, all right. My inbox, my mail inbox?
Email, yes, please.
Okay. I'm going to have to check out of here for a second and go to my email.
Okay, or I can just roll it out now.
Just hang on. I have it
Okay.
in another
Okay.
tab.
I believe we need a second evaluator because Sean is MIA.
Vernell is Darla's evaluator.
I can be a second one if you need it.
Yes.
Yeah, that'll work, Jess.
Thank you.
Just send me the sheet if I need it.
I don't have the sheet, but
So John, if you could just put it in the chat and send it to her that way.
It's the strategic relations pathway, and it is the leadership styles number 2, the level 2, the first choice, the first option.
all right. Are we all ready to start? to be clear, Vernell, are you going to evaluate Daria?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
And yes, you're going to evaluate John? Okay. All right. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Daria on styles of leadership. Let's welcome Daria.
Good morning, Toastmasters. Toastmasters, I've been recently appointed to Director of Education Reform here in Barbados. It's sorely needed, and it's a hell of a task. I have a wonderful deputy who shares my vision of the future and pursues excellence with me. She encourages innovative ideas, and she promotes respect for all of our team members' creativity. And she invites, most importantly, collaborative conversation, as do I. We are really effective when we are solving complex problems together. In this leadership style investigation, I went deep into the styles that Toastmasters has presented because my deputy and I have very similar views on how to get the best out of the many people that we are, let's call them, supervising. In the democratic style, we share a consensual decision-making style. We're comfortable allowing others to occasionally take the lead and to take the lead more and more. We provide opportunities for participation, and we use collaboration and communication to receive input from our team members. We tend to coach our subordinates very well. We try to concentrate on preparing them for the future by building the skills that we want in our young people. So they have to build the skills first, you understand. We excel with groups and individuals that haven't realized their potential, i.e., our students. We tend to want to challenge and motivate all levels of educator and educatee. We communicate with positive statements, and we try to bring a level of personal gratification to the teachers and to the people that are handling the teachers. Now, around the altruistic section of the leadership style, I would say that both my deputy and I personalize approaches to meet the individuals that we have in our teams. We tend to want to serve others in our leading them. We tend to want to empower them and really have an ethical approach to our leading. I would call it something kin to integrity leadership, although that has not been identified in the Toastmaster demarcation. I would say that we listen, we are empathetic, we tend to want to build communities of not only the Ministry of Education, but each school, so that they are effective in a long-term perspective of education. Another aspect to both my deputy and my leadership style is pace setting. We tend to embrace new projects and move ahead with speed. Our subordinates are not as quick on the draw as we are. So it's good to have a deputy that is in line with how fast I move, but it's a drawback in some ways because the productivity suffers when the team members are not in line or are not ready as yet. So we have to take time that we don't often have in bringing the team members forward with us. And remember, it's education reform that I'm in charge of. So I have to set the standards extremely high, and the performance is key, and I have to lead by example. Now, communicating a lot of detailed instructions is not a necessary part of what I do. I think that modeling the instructions are more in line with the task that is ahead of us. Now, authoritative is not, although I am authoritative, I would say that the long-term direction and focus on end goals are definitely authoritatively done. Now, the experience and knowledge that I come with inspires, I think, enthusiasm in what I have created as our mission statement. I brought forth clear direction and we set standards clearly. The most effective part, I think, of what we have done is that we have been extremely explicit in our requirements, and we ensure that the change of direction and the change of vision is clearly articulated. Now, the affiliative and the bureaucratic style of leadership are the lesser parts of our leadership style. Although we have a cohesive unit, the two of us, we have tried to put levels of harmony and cohesion amongst all of the levels that operate the education system in Barbados. We at this time are modeling this reformation for the rest of the Caribbean, who are looking at how we are taking apart and putting together the education system for our children's emotional needs, their health needs, their academic needs, their affective needs. And so the affiliative style we are using alongside, I would say, the visionary to really put a creative spin or a positive spin on how to manage conflict, how to really give personal relationships a heightened place in our education system. The difficulties that we have seen come from, I would say, increasing morale and having to deal with stressful circumstances, especially in this time of COVID. There has been a lot that has had to change as a result of dealing with the masks and the guns and the children's upsetnesses around their restricted lifestyles. So all in all, I would say that these types of leadership styles have established and enforced a lot of the rules that will make the education system a palliative, a really interesting space to work and play in. We took a lot of time to look at how our styles meshed and how we wanted to continue and how we wanted to structure the spaces that we have to affect. And we are really cognizant that the highly skilled people that we are managing are not feeling micromanaged. So the big piece for us is that our personal integrity combined with the integrity of the schooling system, of the education system, has created a trust, a strong team that accomplishes the goals that we are up to fulfilling. So in effect, I would say that we as a team, me and my deputy, are effective communicators. We lead by example. We try to be optimistic, open-minded, and demonstrate integrity. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Daria. Very interesting speech. Now, on to our next speaker, Mr. John Roberts. John is approaching his third year as a member of Toastmasters. He is a member of PG Articulators 6956, where he serves as VP of Membership. He is a charter member of Five Rings Financial and Friends 723-5514, where he serves as VP of Education and Treasurer. John is also serving as Public Relations Manager for District 66 for the 2021 year. Now you have a name and face to blame for all the emails you are inundated with from the district. Speech title is A Riddle. It's Innovative Planning Level 3, Elective 2. The time is 5 to 7 minutes. Welcome, John. You're muted, John.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster of the Day. Have you ever heard a word, a phrase, or a song lyric that you were sure was right and you later found out was completely wrong and it changed the whole format of what you knew? Or have you ever heard someone use a word, phrase, or sing a song lyric that was completely wrong that you knew was correct and you wanted to change it so bad, but you had to decide whether it was going to be just let it go and let them believe what they wanted to believe, or try to change their mind? So my wife's father had a whole slew of these where he misheard words and then he would rationalize justifying those words to what he meant. And one of his famous one was very close veins. This was his word for varicose veins. And his justification was the veins were very close to the surface, so that's how he justified that he was right. So today I have a riddle for you. What is a vegetable, a kind of song, and a woman on television? This was the riddle my 4-year-old presented to us one night when he returned from a weekend with my wife's aunt. My wife had an aunt, Patricia, and she was the cool aunt. She would pick up my wife and her sisters when they were younger, and they would go off for a weekend of adventure, and it was just all about the kids, and then they would come back on Sunday. And so when we moved to the area, my wife hoped that my son would have the same relationship with this Aunt Patricia. Now, my wife being the oldest of the 3 girls, she had the naming rights to her aunt, so she called her Aunt Tita instead of Patricia. T-E-D-A, Tango, Echo, Delta, Alpha. I don't know how she came up with it. She doesn't know how she came up with it, but now she's Aunt Tita for the rest of her life. So my son would get picked up on Friday. by Aunt Tita, and they would go off and have adventures. He'd come back on Sunday, and of course, we would debrief him to find out what went on the whole weekend. One Sunday, he comes back, and he's coloring on the table, on the coffee table, and he's staring at TV at the same time. And we're like, well, what did you have for lunch today? Well, it's fried chicken. Every Sunday was fried chicken at Aunt Tita's house. And then we asked, what else do you have? He said, some vegetable. I don't know what it was called, though. So you might think a child would know what a vegetable is called because they don't like to eat them. But my child grew up eating farm to table. We lived in Charlotte on a family friend's property, and they had a farm out back. It was a little farm because they were in their 70s. It was only 4 acres. So they had downsized it from the acres and acres they had before. So my son grew up eating vegetables that I wouldn't eat. He thought if his mother ate it, he had to eat it, and he loved vegetables. So it's weird that he would not know what this vegetable was. But we let it go, and we went a little further into the evening, and we asked again, what was the vegetable you had? I don't know, but it's a kind of song too. So my wife and I look at each other, and we're trying to figure out what this vegetable is that's also a kind of a song. We're really racking our brains. Mondegrin. And I'm going to put this in the chat. Sorry, muted myself. This is not the vegetable we ate, mondegrin, but mondegrin is a word that means mishearing or misinterpretation of a phrase in a way that gives new meaning. Mondegrins are often created by a person listening to a poem or song, the listener being unable to clearly hear a lyric and substitutes a word that sounds like it and changes the meaning. We continue through the night, and it's getting close to bedtime, and we ask him one more time what this vegetable is that he ate that he can't remember. He goes, I don't know, but I think it's a woman on TV as well. So my wife and I, we're putting pins and corkboard string and red string everywhere, trying to figure out what these 3 things are. What is a vegetable, a kind of a song, and a woman on TV? So my wife breaks down, and she calls her aunt. And midway through the conversation, my wife just busts out laughing. And she looks at me, and she says, okra. So my son had heard okra, heard opera, and heard Oprah in the same phrase. So this was the trip that he took us on this Sunday night. And when you think about it, you wouldn't ever associate those 3 things together, but sometimes the innocent or those that don't understand can hear those kind of things and give you a different perspective on things. So now when I hear Oprah, I hear okra. When I hear opera, I hear okra, and I hear Oprah. So sometimes we hold these beliefs in our heart that we have learned, and we're set on that we have not, that we're right and everybody else is wrong. But sometimes you have to look into somebody who's inexperienced and what they hear in a way to get them to change your mind from your standpoint. So I challenge everybody now to take a little look at things out there that you're dead set on this right. Just like when everybody heard Jimi Hendrix and they thought he was kissing a guy instead of the sky, to take that little change and reevaluate what you actually know and maybe change your views on things. Madam Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, John. Well done. Now, as we are coming up to the next part of our program, do we need to take a break? Okay, then I will introduce Ms. Kittima, who is our topics master of the day.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day. Moving on to our table topics, it's everyone's chance to do impromptu speech. And today's topic is going to be called Letters to Santa the Day After Christmas. You've had a memorable Christmas experience, and now you want to let Santa know all about it the day after Christmas. Some of the things that occurred sound kind of familiar because it might have some pop culture references. Do I have any volunteers? I hope I can prognosticate some people are going to be volunteering and having a good time. Any volunteers?
Sure.
Who's that? Daria. All right. Daria, you had Christmas Eve dinner with your family. Your grandmother was walking home from your house on Christmas Eve, and she was ran over by a reindeer. You write a letter to Santa, and you say, "Dear Santa." Go ahead, Daria. Dear Santa.
Dear Santa, thank you, Madam Table Topics Master. Dear Santa, my grandma, who I've never met, I heard had been ran over by a reindeer. Now, this is highly unlikely, Santa, because in the Caribbean, we don't have reindeer, and we don't have snow, and we definitely do not have sleighs. So why a reindeer would be drawing a sleigh over snow driven by Santa is beyond me. However, this is the lore. My grandfather told me himself, for he lived way past my grandma, who was run over by this reindeer. 50 years later, he was transposing this story to me. I said to him, Grandpa, there is no way that Grandma was run over by a reindeer. Where was she when this reindeer was drawing this sleigh? He said to me, many years ago, Daria, there was snow in Barbados. How many years ago, Grandpa? Many years ago. Don't interrupt me, child. I said, Grandpa, there is no way that snow can fall below the equator. He said at that time, snow was in Barbados. It fell in Barbados because we were not under the equator. We were inches above the equator. At 7 years old, I'm buying what my grandpa is telling me. He knows he's my grandpa. He can't lie. He tells the truth. My uncles, all 7 of them, corroborate the story. I'm not going to prognosticate. I'm not going to prognosticate, Jess, but I will tell you that 20, 30, 40 years later, I have repeated this story for my children and my grandchildren. Back to you, Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you. Do I have another volunteer? All right, Jess. You had written a letter to Santa, and you had asked for an official Red Ryder carbine action 200 shot range model air rifle with the compass in the stock and this thing that tells time. When you go to use it, you nearly shoot your eye out. You write to Santa and you say, Dear Santa.
Okay. Madam Topics Master, fellow Toastmaster and guest, I want to tell you a short story about what happened to me. It caused me to write a very strongly worded letter to Santa Claus. My one wish, actually I had 2, but my main primary wish for Santa Claus this year was to get me a Red Ryder BB gun. Christmas morning comes and I run down the stairs in my fuzzy onesie, dive under the tree. Of course, the cat jumps out and attacks me because that's where she likes to hang out in the Christmas season. That was her, sorry. So after I yank the cat off of myself, I find my present. I rip it open, and much to the dismay of my mother, I run outside and get my Red Ryder BB gun ready and go to fire it. So I'm so excited to play with it. Just at the moment I'm getting ready to fire, My idiot brother runs up behind me and smacks the butt of the gun. So it swings up just as I'm firing, and I almost take my eye out. I'm left with a red line right up next to my glasses, which brings me to my second Christmas wish that I did not get this year, which was that Santa come take my little brother on a trip away from me so that I don't almost shoot my eye out with this Red Ryder BB gun. Madam Topics Master?
Very, very nice. Do I have any other volunteers?
I will.
Okay. I saw Donnell's hand go up first.
Okay.
And then Ray, you can go next if you like. Okay, Donnell. Donnell, you have been a little Scroogey this year, but hoped Santa would still come visit. Instead, you were visited by 3 ghosts of Christmas. You were very surprised. You write Santa, "Dear Santa," you're on mute, Donnell.
That was me cursing out Santa. I kind of, dear Santa, I had a visit by some 3 ghosts the other night, but I was expecting you to come down my chimney. That's all I wanted was a Porsche 911, and I was waiting for you to deliver this. And I've been waiting for this. I've been asking for this for years, this car. And I just always envisioned it. I always write to you. And it has caused me to be, because I'm not getting this gift, it's caused me to be a little selfish. I haven't been giving gifts like I usually give. So I'm trying to give people the hint. If you don't give me what I want, I'm going to give you a not so pleasant gift. So I had a visit with these ghosts, and I was taken to this person's house, and they opened up my gift, and they opened it up, and it was one sock. It wasn't a pair. It was just one sock. And if I were to, next year, my plan was to give them the other pair, the other sock. But they weren't too pleased with this one sock. They probably called me some not so good names, but Santa, I'm trying to teach them. I'm not like you. I don't give them coal. I give them a little something just to try to give them a hint. And then I went to the second ghost took me to someone else's house. And what did they said? Well, we know Donnell. We know he's not been giving good gifts over the last couple of years. I don't know why. So we aren't gonna even open the gift. So they don't even respect me enough to open my gift. So Santa, please, I'm telling you, I'm trying to get this Porsche 911. So the third person, I went to their house. This ghost took me, and they were opening up my gift. And it was it was a pair of shoes. Now, this pair of shoes, they were Jordans, and I would think it's a good gift. I kind of wore them the last couple of years, but I gave them a slightly used pair of Jordans, but to my surprise, unlike the first two people, they were ecstatic. Even though the shoes were worn, they always wanted Jordans. And Santa, that kind of taught me something. That taught me that it's not, it's not always about the gift that you give. Or, all right, table topics, Master. I have no more. That's
Yeah,
tough.
we heard it. We heard it.
Thanks, Donnell. I think he taught Santa a lesson, and I hope he brings you a Porsche next year. Ray, I have a table topics for you. You wake up at midnight, you sneak downstairs, and you saw Mommy kissing Santa Claus underneath the Christmas tree. You want to write to Santa. You say, "Dear Santa,
Dear Santa, I really was shocked to see Mom kissing Santa. Weird vibrations. In my household, because I was the eldest, I got the really inside scoop about Santa early on because I was a curious girl with all the ongoings with presents and trees and setting up things. So probably by the time I was about 8, I didn't believe in Santa anymore. My mother explained it as a very gentle guide that even though you didn't believe in Santa anymore, Santa was a spirit of giving, and that's how she approached Santa with all of her children. And she let them believe or disbelieve whenever it happened to them. I was early. I figured out a lot of things early, but I was the oldest and I drove my mother nuts. She put me in preschool when I was like 3, so she'd have some peace and quiet in her house because I like to read, I like to tell stories, I like to do everything. And it was just, my mother needed a break, especially since she had my sister Annette 9 months later after me. So she was a very busy woman most of my young life. But it was always about the spirit of generosity and giving and what you could do to help others that she really focused on. So even though I had kind of a grim outlook on Santa, I always thought the season was most wonderful. Madam Topics Master.
thank you, Ray, for that story. Do we have any more volunteers? All right, back to you, Ray.
Now I'm going to turn the rest of the program over to the general evaluator, Mr. John.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster of the day. And we'll start off the evaluation portion of the meeting by going to our evaluators. First, we have Vernell evaluating Daria. Ms. Vernell.
Good morning, everyone. Once again, Doria, leadership style. Doria's challenge was to tell us about her personal leadership style. She did that quite well. She opened with a challenge to herself in order to reform the educational system in her country or her town. She gave us several leadership styles: communication, collaboration, integrity, when she was being authoritative. She explained in depth the ideas that she wanted to present in order to reach her goal. She was very direct. Her pace was excellent. She looked at us through the camera, and because of that, she connected with her audience. A challenge that I would say to you is to give us a story within your story, an example of how your leadership style you believe is going to impact your subordinates, your students, whichever. That would give your audience a more connection as to how you want to perceive. And as always, it's good to throw in a little bit of humor, even though this was a very serious topic. I believe you could have managed that quite well. You left us with a list of ideas, and any one of us can use that list in order to impact our own leadership style. I wish you well as you move forward to create and to achieve your goals. And I look again forward to hearing another speech from you. Thank you very much. General Evaluator.
Thank you.
Our next evaluator will be Jessica. She evaluated my speech. Jessica?
Good morning, Mr. General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I had the pleasure and honor of evaluating John Rogers' speech entitled A Riddle. It was a story that he told us about a very funny challenge that he and his wife had trying to figure out what in the world his child was talking about. And I think we've all been there. Even if you don't have kids, you have most likely spent some point in your life trying to figure that out, what some kid is trying to say to you. So he told us a wonderful story, gave us an example of people justifying phrases and lyrics like his father with the very close veins, introduced us to his wife's aunt, Tita, and told us about trying to figure out that elusive word okra, or was it Oprah or opera? Now those words are forever tied together in my mind. Every time I hear of that vegetable or see an opera, I'm going to be thinking about this story. So I'd say it was very effective. The meat and potatoes of evaluation, John, your pace was fantastic. The environment that you're in actually leads very well to your speech. I like the background. It made it easy to focus on you. It's well lit. You made great eye contact. I even liked how you introduced that vocabulary word, the mondegrin. That was educational. I know that one of your goals was to use your inflection to vary between the different characters in the story, and I think you did that quite well. You could hear the difference in pitch in your voice when you were talking about what your son was saying. So I thought that was fantastic. I especially enjoyed the red string analogy that you used when you were talking about you and your wife trying to figure out. It made me think of Charlie Day, if anybody's familiar with him. And you close the story, well, let me go back. You open the story with a question, which caught our attention. And then you close the story with a challenge, which essentially was asking everybody to be open-minded when hearing other people's interpretations of things. So the way you delivered your speech was fantastic. The content of your speech was relatable and enjoyable, and I really enjoyed hearing it. I struggled for a minute trying to think of a challenge for you, honestly. And the only thing I could really come up with was the part of your speech when you talked about Mondegrin. I was sidetracked very, very briefly. So maybe try to think of like a segue when inserting the little educational pieces in there. And that's me reaching. I really enjoyed your speech. I think it's one of the best ones you've given. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Jessica. Thank you for the presentation. Now we will go to our, do you want to send the votes out, or are we doing that in the chat?
Yeah, so why don't you give your evaluation, and then when Tyler sets the agenda for next meeting, then I'll put the poll up.
Okay, so we'll go to my tag team. Like I said before, we have our timer, and that was Donnell. So he will give our how we did on time today. Donnell?
Mr. General Evaluator, I apologize, but Ms. Daria, what was your speech time? Or Ms. Ray?
5 to 7.
5 to 7, okay. All right, you were at 11:11. John, for your speech, 5 to 7 minutes, it was 5:27. With table topics, Ms. Daria, 2:15. Jess was 1:50. Ms. Ray, 2:06. And anybody got my time? I was kind of long. I didn't see any folders come up.
You're muted, Ray.
Ray.
You were 3:32.
Yeah, I figured. Thank you.
All right.
All right, thank you.
And for evaluators, Ms. Furnell, I apologize. I think I put the green folder a little too soon for you, but you were 2:10, and Jess, you were 3:08. Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Donnell. Then our counter, and listen up, Ms. Furnell.
All right.
You're muted.
You're muted, Furnell.
Muted myself. Is that better? For our counter, Doria, you had 1. Jess, you had 1 and 1 so. And John, you had 4 ums. For listen up. How did Elizabeth find PGA?
Through John.
Through John, saw his certificates.
All right, Doria. Doria said that she and her deputy was quick on the draw. Who was not? Her subordinates.
I was just about to say subordinates. You beat me to it.
What was, Doria gave us several types of her leadership style. Can you name a couple?
Democratic.
Authoritative.
Right.
Bureaucratic.
Got that one. Authoritative.
Affiliative and bureaucratic.
Right. And one here at Toastmasters. Communication.
Oh.
What was John's wife's aunt's name?
Kita.
That's what she got called.
Patricia, right? Patty.
Patricia or Tita.
Patricia, all right.
Depends who you ask.
And Jess, you can't answer this. What were the 3 things John's son heard from Oprah?
Oh,
Opera.
Opera,
Okra.
Oprah,
And Oprah.
Oprah. All right, good. Table topics. Daria, how many years later did her grandfather tell her the story?
50.
50 years. How many uncles does she have?
7.
Right. Jess, who was dismayed?
Repeat the question.
Who was dismayed?
She was?
Her
Her
brother?
mother. And what was the name of the gun?
Red Robin,
Yeah,
Red Ryder.
Right.
Ryder.
Red Rider.
Red Rider.
Yeah.
Okay. Donnell, what type of car did he want?
Porsche.
Porsche 911.
9/11.
Right. Okay. All right, I can't read. Oh. How did Donnell describe the shoes?
Used.
Lightly worn.
Slightly used.
Slightly used.
Slightly worn.
Jordans.
Jordan's right. Ray. She got the inside scoop because she was the.
Oldest.
Oldest.
All right, general evaluator.
Thank you for now. And we will go to our grammarian.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. I had oh, I don't know. I had one more written down here, but I don't know who said it. I think it, so we'll skip it. I wrote down who was Jimi Hendrix Kisses.
To the
I don't
sky.
know. Who said that? Was it you, John?
John.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you for now. And now we'll go to our grammarian, Jess.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. We had a lot of really great words used today. There were some themes to a lot of the vocabulary that I noticed today. So a lot of the vocabulary that was used had to do with, made me think of forward movement, like innovative, collaborative, empower, visionary. And then we had new vocabulary, at least to us, related to leadership style, authoritative, affiliative, bureaucratic. There were also words that I think we all need to hear in this particular time that have to do with coming together, like cohesive and harmony. I think it's good for all of us to refamiliarize ourselves with in this time. And then one phrase in particular stuck out to me that tickled me for some reason. It was when Daria used the phrase, "This is the lore." Reminded me kind of a Mandalorian type of thing. But I also very much enjoyed the mondegrin. That was a new word for me, John. So thank you for that. Misinterpretation to give new meaning. I'm going to have to use that. Overall, I think we used a lot of good words, and we had a couple people use my word of the day, prognosticate. Kidama and Daria both came in. Did I miss anybody? I think those were the two that used the word. Anybody else? Right on. So they both used it once. So prize to both of you. Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Jess. That wraps up my team. My evaluation of the meeting was, again, we had a good meeting this morning. A couple of speakers that were great speeches. Everybody participated in table topics and otherwise. We had a guest. Appreciate Elizabeth coming out today. I would ask Ray, next time you want to talk about Santa Claus not being real, you say spoiler alert first. So we have some younger members of our club, so they may not know that yet. So back to you, Ms. Ray, Toastmaster of the day.
All right. Now, is Earl going to send out the vote?
Yes, I'll put up the poll in just a second.
Okay.
And so you guys see it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So just click on your selections, hit submit. Well, I don't see what's bottom. Well, choose your selections. And then in the meantime, Tyler can set up the agenda for next meeting.
Yes. We have our next meeting on January 2nd, 2020. So it's the day after New Year's. And it'll be at 10 o'clock on Saturday, just like normal. And we're going to start filling the roles. Who would like to be the Toastmaster of the day for January 2nd?
I can do it, Kidama.
Kidama?
I would like to be general evaluator. Right.
Okay, Ray would like to be general evaluator. Do we have anyone that wants to be a topics master? I can take that one. It's been a little while since I've done one. We'll do something fun, I'm sure. A grammarian / word master of the day. John, counter and listen up. We'd like to count all the ahs and ums.
You can put me down, Tyler.
Put Earl down. Timer, who's got some red, green, and yellow flashcards?
I can do it again and no one volunteers.
Well, I'll put down to no. And vote counter, who's ready to just put out a poll for who gets the prize?
I can do it.
Jess?
Yeah.
Okay, is anyone ready to give a speech on January 2nd?
I'm not, but you can put me down.
I'll put Danelle down.
Ray will.
Ray. Anyone else?
Can I be an evaluator?
Yes, you can be an evaluator, Daria. I'll put you down. Do I have anyone else that wants to be a speaker or an evaluator? I need one more evaluator if no more speakers are coming up.
You can put me down as an evaluator, Tyler.
Earl. Okay, I think that wraps it up. We've got Kidima as the Toastmaster, Tyler as the Topics Master, Ray as the General Evaluator, John as the Grammarian, Earl as the eye counter, Danelle as the timer, Jess as the vote counter, and we'll have speeches by Danelle and Ray with Daria and Earl as evaluators. Now I'm gonna pass it off to Earl, and he's gonna give us the results from our voting.
Okay, so hopefully everyone had a chance to vote. So here's what we got. For best speaker, we've got John. For best table topics, we have a tie between Daria and Jess. And for best evaluator, Jess. Congratulations, everybody. Overall, great speeches by everyone. So what do we have to talk about? Elizabeth, if you're okay with it, would you mind giving us your impression of the meeting, your thoughts?
Yes, it was my first time visiting. I like that every person who speaks has it's a mission, it's a purpose. It's not just a speech. The evaluator, I never realized that Toastmasters evaluated the evaluator as well. This is really neat how every part comes together. I'm not a good person storytelling. I'm not a storyteller to my kids. I never have been, so I didn't volunteer for that. But I did think of a letter to Santa when Grandma got ran over by a reindeer. After the initial shock, my 8-year-old would probably send a static letter to Santa thanking him for not having to go home and live with Grandma and take care of her and sleep in her bed and use the electric kettle to make tea and everything. So it ended up being a thank you letter. So I did come up with that when Daria was speaking, but I had to hear somebody else come up with the last minute. I wouldn't on the spot. That would be tough, but I would be willing at some point to join a Toastmasters to get out of my comfort zone and learn. Maybe I could become a storyteller. Who knows?
Right. Okay, great. If you could hang out after the meeting, we can answer any questions you might have. Also, I'd like to talk to you about the Rotary Club stuff. Next, the speech contest. So just a reminder, we're going to be having a speech contest in February. So if you're interested in being a speaker or volunteering to help out either on the contest committee or as an official, a judge, a ballot counter, or a timer during the contest, please let Tyler know because we need all the help we can get to get this pulled off.
I have sent out emails, and I'll be sending out more emails to those that I haven't heard anything from. So just keep an eye on your inbox.
Okay. And there was something else I wanted to say. Oh, going back to what you said, Elizabeth, also that's thinking off the cuff is actually one of my things that I struggle with a lot. And I'm the same way. Not just with table topics, but I'll be lying in bed and think, oh, I should have said that to a conversation that happened years ago. But it's something I struggle with. This is a good place for you to work on those skills because we're very informal here. You can see we kind of joke around a little bit. So you kind of don't take it just yourself as seriously. So it kind of makes it a little easier to open up. So just something to think about.
I love that Donnell failed and what he saw as a fail, he gave up. I love it because it just shows you can be yourself in practice and you have room for growth here. So that was really helpful for me to see. So I really appreciate that. And I love the way everybody clapped for everything. So that was awesome.
So
that was my intention.
Right. It was all planned.
So when we meet in person, that's just part of our procedure is everyone, when only one person has the floor at a time. And as we switch off, we always clap to congratulate the person stepping down and sort of encourage the person stepping up. So we carried that tradition over, even though you can't always hear it, but we still like to encourage one another. So does anyone have anything else they want to bring up we haven't already discussed? Okay. With that, I want to say Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to everybody. While you're out there, please be safe. And we'll see you next meeting on the 2nd of January. So Elizabeth, if you could stay behind.
Yes, absolutely.
Hi, everybody.
Happy Christmas, everybody. If I could, I will send you some of my famous rum cake, my Christmas rum cake, but
that sounds
I
good.
fear that it would be taken by the authorities because it's X-rated. It's X-rated rum cake. So enjoy the season, folks.
Okay.
Happy New Year, everyone. See you next year.
Happy birthday. Merry Christmas.
Who do I talk to volunteer for the
Tyler?
Yeah, Tyler.
Yes.
Can you include me in that email, Tyler? Because I'd love to volunteer. Just put me down for something.
Sure.
Great. All right. Thank you, Daria. So Elizabeth, oh, sorry. Oh, all right. Elizabeth, do you have any specific questions about the club or anything that went on during the meeting?
Not yet. This one, I know when we get back in person, we're going to have to go in. So I'm in North Suffolk, so I know there's something around here. I was searching and trying to get into Toastmasters a couple of years ago, and somebody finally called me back and said, "Oh, we got a message that you want to start a club." And I'm like, "No, never been to one." "Oh, okay. Well, they told me you wanted to start a club. I'll send your number on." Called back 4 months later. "Hello, I heard you want to start a club." So I gave up at that point. And so when I saw John, I said, I'm going to look into it. I don't know if I can do anything right now with everything getting ready for, it's crazy. It's just crazy. I'm president. Yeah. I'm new to Rotary and I'm going to be president in July. And I was hoping to be able to visit a bunch of Rotary clubs to really immerse myself, and COVID hit.
Right.
So yeah, so
the Rotary Club format work?
Yeah, so Rotary is completely different format. It's you have announcements and things. It's really about serving the community and hearing from the community. So you have a guest speaker every week. I'm going to change the format of the speaker a little bit for our group because every week we have a charity. And I think for some people, it's a little bit gets old getting pitched by a charity. Every week if there's a charity that needs a need. So I'm going to do. I'm going to switch it around for once a month will be a business owner, local, their story of how, their story and struggle. So it's not a sales pitch, but more of how did I get started? How did I get the idea? A charity once a month and a cultural arts thing once a month. And then once a month, somebody internal from Rotary to build a better bond and get it more. Because I've been here, July will be my 3rd year, and I struggled with some things what Rotary was about because we're a very social club. And I think if it once a week, it would educate new members really well. So once a month. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm a little nervous about becoming president. I can think off the cuff on 1-to-1, no problem. Small group, no problem. But when I'm standing in front of a podium and there's a whole lot of people, yeah. And then I'm like, I forget my words. I just draw a blank. I can't come up with, what's that word? I'm looking for that word, and I get stuck on stuff, or I put the wrong word in that sounds similar. I'll say Oprah instead of okra, Right. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I sound like an idiot. So that's why I thought Toastmasters would be great for me, because I try to do things that are uncomfortable. I would have never volunteered for president. Somebody asked me to be president, and my first response was no. So I said yes. So I do things on purpose that make me uncomfortable to get better. And that's why I used to be scared to death of evaluating my speech. No way would I ever go to Toastmasters, but I wasn't a public speaker before. And now I am. I'm like, I'd like to get better. So it was kind of exciting to come and see that someone gives a go, and, it wasn't all put together. Is really nice. It shows that you guys are giving people room to grow.
Yeah, the evaluation, you usually think of evaluation as criticism, but we try to make it feedback. So and it's not only given to you, it's given to the whole audience, so they can say, oh yeah, I should do that too. I should try that in my speech next time. Maybe I would be better if I did that little thing.
I voted for Vernell for the evaluator because I thought her evaluating was a little harder. I mean, it's easier to evaluate somebody who did a perfect job. So I voted for Vernell evaluating because she did a great job being all positive in that. So
right. You always frame it so that it's not, you're not saying this is what you did wrong. You frame it as this is something you can work on to make better. Yeah, I definitely understand what you're
For my
saying.
work, we're learning the hamburger method, right? So you give them at least 2 positives, and then, hey, what you can work on, and then another 2 positives. But our master at that is so masterful that even when he's saying the negative, it doesn't sound a negative. And I would love to learn how to be that way, because I can be a little bit, I don't like confrontation. And part of the reason is because I'm just right down straight, I'm right to the point, and I know you're not as, people say I'm gentle, but I feel like I'm not I'm like, no, don't do that. What are you thinking? Type of thing. And so I get a little nervous because I don't like to do that. And I think I'm a little not as tactful as I like to be.
Gotcha. Well, I
think this would help too, because it sounds like you have a format in evaluating, because what I heard from both Vernell and Jess, it sounded like you're following a form in an evaluation.
Right. So for each project, there are certain goals that your speech is supposed to cover, depending on where you are in your educational path. And there's also an evaluator sheet that comes along with that, so that the evaluators are looking for those specific things that you're supposed to have incorporated into your speech. Right. So there's the general sort of hamburger method, but then more specific things that they should be looking at.
And if you know what you're going to be evaluated on, it's not like you're going to end up delivering a terrible speech because you're striving to hit those goals.
Right.
Yeah. A format.
And then we also take into account the sort of the experience level, how long this person has been a Toastmaster. So when they're newer, you're looking at just sort of how the speech is structured, but then when you're more experienced, then you start looking at things about vocal inflection and gestures and things like that.
So there's more expectation longer and less expectation in the beginning. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Vernell is probably our most senior member in Toastmasters, so she's very good at everything, the evaluations especially.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Any
Nice.
other questions?
So I know there's some type of thing for Rotary. Is there a discount or how does that work? I know I've been getting emails when you first partnered and I'm not sure what that's about.
I'm not sure if they're offering any discounts. But one of the questions, we'll look into it, but one of the questions I had for you is what opportunities are there for your Rotary Club and for our Toastmasters Club to collaborate?
Yeah, well, definitely a speaking opportunity, especially when I become president. I would love to, you have anywhere between 10 to 25 minutes, depending on how our meeting beforehand. We have an hour meeting and you ring the bell and you ring the bell at the end. There's no, it's very, this is the time it ends.
Right.
We meet at a country club here in North Suffolk that overlooks the Denanzaman. So it has a beautiful sunrise. We have breakfast within that meeting. So you can come in. And one of the reasons why I joined that group, because I'm not a 7:30 a.m. morning person, but because everybody, I would say half the club walked up to me and shook my hand and asked me my name when I first walked in the door. It was so welcoming. But yeah, definitely speaking, I think that would be fun in teaching people what Toastmasters is, the format, how welcoming it is, how you accept people at different levels and help them grow. I think that would be a pretty cool thing.
Is Bill Pollard in that group, Elizabeth?
Who?
Bill Pollard?
Yes.
Yeah. He reached out to me some time ago about speaking. You know, I was promoting, I'm the district guy, so I'm trying to promote the Toastmasters to everybody because our membership is dwindling because of Zoom. And
yeah,
he reached
I know.
A speaking opportunity.
I'm one of the youngest people in Rotary. There's somebody that's considerably younger than I am, 10 years at least. But yeah, one of the youngest members. Everybody is older. So Zoom is just, we're meeting in person and we're doing a hybrid meeting now. So you can come and speak. I can help you get a spot when there's an opening. Also, they said when your anniversary, I haven't figured it out. They're saying birthday and anniversary. One of those two is your month to be the help find a speaker. So either my month is coming up January, February, because that's when I joined, and I don't know my official date because I visited at the end of January. So it's probably February because I can probably get you guys a spot in February if there's an opening. If you like to come out and visit.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah, just seeing what the normal, if there is a discount, we'll find out, of course. But
what is it normally?
It's $45 for every 6 months.
Huh.
And then $750 a month. And if you join off the 6 month anniversary date, $750 off every month because that's what $750 is per month. There's a $20 joining fee, which pays for your first path, which is your educational track. There's 11 of them. So you can pick from presentation mastery, innovative planning, motivational strategies, engaging humor, and 7 more I can't think of right now. But you can kind of.
How much?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
How much would a typical year cost?
90. For first joining up, it's 120. But you pay in 2 separate. So we charge $5 club. We charge a $5 club fee every 6 months, and that's when we met in person. We would have outings and things like that. We would do open houses out in the public and stuff like that. It's $45 per 6 months, and then one time $20 joining fee. That's all.
Wow, it's less than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was a little bit more than that.
Affordable. You figure $750 a month. It's less than a dinner at Hardee's.